Okay, so this video, I don't know how long it's gonna be. It's gonna be about like the state of Chicago Sky, where they also franchise, how they got here, stuff like that. It's a video I've been thinking about making the past couple weeks. Real quick though, I will be making other videos, and as stuff happens, and once the WNBA gets into World Cup break, I got some stuff planned out. I just been basically with some real life stuff. That's why I haven't been updating the this way, which could go and stuff like that. It's been basically other stuff. Back to topic at hand though. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but I started my WNBA fandom really started with a three to C, which was Dodon, Sky Diggins, and Brittany Grindle, and it just so happens that Dodon gets drafted number two by the Sky. So I decided I'm from the Chicago-based area. I'm originally from Deerfield, Illinois, which is fun fact, which is what they used to practice all those years. People make fun of them about it. I always be a little offensive to it, but I also be like, they're white, like, because Deerfield's like an hour plus out from the suburbs of Chicago, so like it should be close to the city. So I understood the fact that like it should be closer to the city to practice and stuff like that, but like also the fact that leave Deerfield alone. So I saw Fondom 2013. Um, we'll talk a little bit before the championship because it kind of goes into like a much larger edge for this guy. But it starts off in 2021. It signed Candace Parker, defend 16-16. They win the championship that year. Great. They're on top of the world. Awesome. And that was like 5 seasons ago, like 5 years ago. So how did they get from that to where they are now? Well, the next year, I already think they have a better team. They signed Emma Mason to a contract, so they get another scope bait to go with Candace Parker. As with Stevens, who's coding with them right now, it's now coming off the bench for that team. They signed Rebecca Gardner, they signed Julie Almond. Like they had a really loaded team, a much more talented deep team. And I remember the start of the year, they were looking like that. And then I remember this game was Vegas. I forget how much they were down by, but they were trailing a lot. And they managed to come back and win. But I remember thinking, like, it's kind of a bad sign if you solve that back because it's just really hard to overcome that if you keep doing it over and over again. So I kind of always took them at the note about that season. And basically, I don't know if they got older, they got collapsed, whatever, but they were up by double digits in the fourth quarter and in the semifinals against Connecticut, and they lose. And that next off season, they lose Parker, Vansu, Quickly, Mason Man. Like they basically lose everyone. Like everyone leaves, just in return or they go to other teams. So I Quickly who doesn't play again, but like eventually retires. So they basically new slate. They lose Asper Stevens to free agency to Sparks. So basically they came from a clean fletch. And even before that, I remember on ESPN, I think it was the Jump was telling like, and I think it was more Shelburne. It was someone saying that like, oh, like Courtney Vance was considering leaving the Sky to going back home or maybe to like New York or whoever. And I think that was weird at the time. Like, why you leave after you just won a title when you have a chance to repeat? Yeah, I thought that was really weird. And so they lose, and then and then that all season, that next all season, James Wade starts doing the I'm gonna mortgage the future for the present strategy, which this guy continued to apply to this day, which it never works, aka. But they trade the number five pick and other picks and stuff like that to get William Mabley. And they signed Courtney Williams, they signed Isabel Hills, they signed Elizabeth Williams. Like their philosophy, we're going to compete, we're going to go for this. They start off the year kind of promising. James Wade leaves to be an assistant coach. Super weird. It's an NBA assistant job. Like, why are you going to leave a head coaching job for an assistant job? If it's to the WNBA to the NBA. Like, super weird stuff. And also, was even weird, why if your own show you allow that? I would have been like, sorry, no, we're not doing that. You're a current head coach. Now, I might be here on the Winsider podcast. I don't really listen to much anymore, but back then I did listen to it, though. They do good stuff if you haven't already. But I remember, like, the host said something like, oh, like, one of my bold predictions was going to be James Wade was going to lead the Sky League, because I kind of was hearing rumbling. So I don't know how true or not that is, but then they hired his intro coach, who like Emily something, and they compete kind of well. And I don't recall. I think they made a playoffs all year, didn't advance or anything like that. So they kind of like felt short. So then, like, kind of really weird area then, because you're not off your coach. They were the last team to hire a GM coach because James Ray was doing that. At a time when he was hired back in 2018, though, 2019 or whatever year it wasn't like that uncommon to have a coach do both roles. And I mean, Sherry still does, technically, to this day. Everyone has a GM, though, but they decided to split the roles off. They first decided to hire the head coach. So no matter this works, you hire a GM first, then they hire the coach. They decided to hire a coach. It was 2 weeks away to spoon. Former Olympian, former WNBA player, coached in the NBA for the Pelicans. Like, had a resume for days, and she had name and cachet, and she's very charismatic, stuff like that. Then they decided to hire Jeff Papier, which I think this is very important. Jeff Papier had no experience being a GM. He was a former, he was a player development coach. He played develop code advanced, other players, stuff like that. But like, being player development coach and GM is two completely different roles, and maybe that's how his brain is working with his teams. He's thinking like, oh, from a player development standpoint, from a build construction, I'm just going to bring in some players and they click. Well, it's more than that, because you have to have multi-year plans, not a 1 year plan, dude. So they end up moving Courtney Williams, like Isabel Harrison, like other players decided to move on, and rightfully so, because like they know they probably committed to play with James Wade and they decided not to. So they original plan was to build on Khalil Kappel and choose an introduction press conference and all that stuff, and that was the plan. Between that and the start for agent, she changed her mind. It sounded like at the time she just didn't want to be like the face of it all. She didn't want the pressure at all. She just wanted to play basketball, hoop, and all that stuff. So in return, they traded to Phoenix, which they got the number 3 pick, a future first round pick, Mikayla Onwenu, and Breanna Turner. Actually, a really nice package, because that number 3 pick was part of the Caitlin Clark class. They gave a future pick. Mikayla Onwenu was still really young at the time with some potential. And Breanna Turner was like a solid, better piece. So, nice job. So then they have an options of, like, what they do. Because the original plan was to go big game hunting, to get Sky Diggins and Nneka Ogwumike to team up with Khalil Kappel. That failed. Kappel then demands a trade. So now what do you do? They go into March and they sign like Lindsay Allen, who was fine. They made the Bowl movie and Candy Carter, which at the time was controversial. Years later, she still is, but it was like, okay, we'll deal with. Teresa Westbrook really believed her, and she went to bat for it and wanted to do that. Also, a move they made on top of that was they got the number 8 pick for the Sparks for Julie Allman and Lee Ewell. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's certainly, I might botch her name. But really good trade. 2 players from not part of your future. You get the number 8 pick in the draft. Awesome. So it makes a lot of French moves, whatever. They enter the draft. This is where they start making mistakes, like really big mistakes, though. Number 1, Caitlin Clark was going number 1 in the end that year. Number 2 overall was going to be Cameron Brink. That kind of like their decision to do a number 3. Did they go with Cardoso or Jackson? It was obviously that was going to be like the 3-4 pick range. At the time, I thought they should have gone with Kia Jackson. It's kind of ironic now she's with them. But Teresa Westbrook apparently wanted to come in because she wanted like big bigs and stuff like that. And also, she really wanted Angel Reese to be with the team. And this was the bigger mistake happened. So 5 and 6 was Dallas Washington. Jason Sheldon, like it was some maybe Lee Edwards, but like it kind of had like a sense of like, okay, Clark's will go 1, Ranks will go 2, Jackson and Kodos will go 3, 4, depending which order. Sheldon Edwards will go 5, 6. Didn't we know which was? And then it's like 7 was Minnesota was kind of wild call, and then Chicago really wanted them 8. Waits at 8. If they were patient and understood the things both, you have like one team. As it turns out, like we finally just like they weren't even that interested in Waits. But even still, like I really like Layla Khan, who's credited with Connecticut. Carl Latte, who's with Portland now. Turns out she's a nice player. Like they didn't accept the fact after the trade for a couple. Here's the plan they should have done. The new CBA is coming in 2 years. No veteran player is going to want to sign past that date, and the everything's going to be reset. And who knows what the new CBA is going to be? Are we going to get roster expansion? How much the salary cap's going up? We don't know at the time. So instead of mortgaging and trading picks and getting veteran players to train for our own picks to get players, let's step back our own picks. Let's collect future assets so we can. Let's build through the draft. So by the time the free agent starts this past summer, which would have been the 2026 free agency period, we have a group of young core that's attracted and ready to go, with a coach who's ready to get this team to the next level. Well, hopefully Teresa Westbrook, whoever the next coach is going to be. If it's not Witherspoon at that point, it's someone else. And we just got to find good veteran teams and let's go compete. That's what they should have done. Instead, they started with, oh, we'll trade our pick to you, Minnesota, for the 8th pick and future first for the 7th pick, when they didn't need to in the first place. Malpractice, Angel Reese ended up being like it's a really good player and not being a good player for the Sky, but like you don't mortgage future assets like that in order to like quote win now. When it's like you need to be looking at the bigger picture, which is why they didn't understand that at the time. Like they had the 13th pick at the time too. Like if they would have traded 8 and 13, which was really valuable, for 7, cool. You don't trade future first though. That was malpractice. They did that, and also here's the problem too. Cardoso Reeds are both 5s. I know Reeds at times like, oh, I want to be a stretch 4. I'm gonna be a shooter. Blah blah blah. Hey, like a foam or else be not a shooter. And you have a long way to go, even still to this day. And you can't win when you have 2 traditional bases go inside. It's just so much harder because it just ruins spacing, and I need to get specific type of goals. It just ruins lots of flexibility. And a big reason why they won the title back in 21 because they ran this beautiful 5-out system where all the players could shoot, drive, and take a little bit. Like that is what they should have done. Done from a philosophy standpoint. Or you stick with one big and you fall out. You don't do it 2 bigs. Because if not both develop shooting wise, you're gonna need to move up both. This is simple logic they didn't apply, but whatever, they did that. So they end up playing the season now. Kind of up and down. First half of the season, they actually finished really strong. I remember watching. I don't know if it was right before the All-Star game or it was like 2 games before, but like they had this really big win against Las Vegas where Kenny Carter went off, looked like she was the best player in the floor. Maybe did a thing like it looked like they had a really good thing going, and that maybe demands a trade it. Like they ended up trading to Connecticut for mainly some future first round picks, and which was small because there was a heavy plot rumor at the time that like after the season, like the band of like Thomas and Dwan Bono and Brianna Jones and all of them were gonna like disband. So at small to get a future pick because they might be bad. And those they got the number 5 pick out of it this past draft. So look, that was a really small part to trade, but still, it's like, man, you gave up so much to get maybe need to trade up, but you got to get value back. So and then it's working out. And then second half of the season, there's a lot of drama involved and players are missing games, and then the season ends. Then they decide to trade in the file. Teresa Westbourne because she couldn't handle Candy Carter, who caused some drama apparently, and that was a wrap of the Teresa Westbourne era. Most importantly, Angel Reese was very public on like Twitter and social media. Like, I can't believe you fired her. I believed in her. Blah blah blah. And I kind of believe she was never 42 feet in the next season because of the firing Teresa Weatherspoon. And I personally believe she was 1 foot out of the door at that point. And then we'll get to after that. So they decided to wait through the roster that all season. And they did a lot of moves at a time I really liked. They signed Kia Nurse. They trade for Rebecca Allen for like Lindsay Allen and like nothing else. Like they got some really good like pieces and shooters and good veteran stuff. They brought back Courtney Vance, which I thought was fine, but like I kind of thought she was past her prime because I didn't think she looked great in New York, and that was kind of a desperate play. But anyway, I like everything they did, and I remember this to this day. So I was in Wisconsin for a family thing. I get a text of notifications that Chicago Sky trade for Ari Atkins for the number 3 pick and a future first round pick swaps, which would be in this year's draft. Coming up. Yeah. So I'm being like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, my brain was scrambling. I was so pissed off because I was so happy to be disciplined and I was so excited about gaining Sonia Citron. Full disclosure, Sonia Citron is awesome. Like, I did not think she was going to be as good as she was. Like, I thought she should have went 3 for the Sky. I thought it made a lot of sense because Kiki if it made no sense, and also I really liked Citron, but I probably should have done more looked more film, like post Miles Hidalgo Notre Dame team. I should have done that more. I went up to it, but because she's been really good, and I'm being like, you gotta be kidding me. This move makes no sense. Ari Atkins is a nice player, but she's not like a championship level type guard. It's like a 1A type guard. Like, I was so mad. And again, it was show side of getting a veteran player now for the future. So they make these moves. Never really fully clicked. Like, they struck a super bad out of the gate. They looked okay kind of middle there before All-Star break. And then they got a ton of interest and they came out flat. And then in the second half of the season came the famous post of Angel Reese felt like only her, Atkins, and Cardoso were the only 3 players who should have been stuck around and got like week 2, and she basically threw a team on the bus to the Chicago Tribune outlet, which is kind of wild and crazy. And I believe the opponent in a gospel did it because I know if I was a player or a teammate or coach or whatever, I'd be looking I would look really off by that. Oh, I also forgot. They hired Ty March in the all season. He also came from, which is interesting because he came from a player developmental background. And it's like, if you know how coaching staff works, like the player development is kind of low on the chart than like a lead assistant or whatnot, which Andy Costa was, which she's now in Golden State. Doing a great job for the record. That's who this guy should have hired in the first place, not Teresa Westbrook. um, oh, maybe could have gotten her, the second time around, but I think the idea of going to Golden State might look better. But anyway, so they hire him, and like he's like, we'll get with Ty March in a second here, later in the video. But I'd rather mention, so they hire him as the head coach. Weeds makes that comment, throws her teammates on the bus, and I believe that was her second foot out of the door. I think she was one foot out of the door when whoever's been left. I think season went backwards. They missed the place. I think she was like, I'm leaving. I'm not sticking around for this. And they ended all season where they don't make the playoffs. They lose the number 2 pick to Minnesota in the trade for Angel Reese. And that ends up turning Olivia Miles, who I'll say this. As of right now, I think she's probably my MVP pick. I think there's some time to figure that stuff out. But if I could vote today, I would pick Olivia Miles. Not a great look, Chicago Sky. So there's that. They trade Angel Reese. The first thing they did once Lindsay Bay came. The first transition was to trade Angel Reese. I agree with that actually assessment now, like, think about it. I think she wanted to leave. I don't think she wanted to stick around with it. I don't agree with the idea of trading her to a preferred destination. Like, you've only played 2 years for us. You've kind of, like, thank you, but, like, no, like, we're going to trade to the best package. And I remember talking to some people, and they were saying that Dallas was kind of interesting for, and maybe had a better package. I would have tried to get the best package possible, whatever that would have been. I would have not just traded, hey, you only one team. I would have viewed offers around. And also, I would have maybe tried to convince her to stay, but doesn't matter. She gets traded. And then this season, they made some really nice free agency signings. On paper, Asbury Stevens, Sky Diggins, Natasha Cloud. Then I'm signed Natasha Cloud before the season started. Dejanay Carrington they signed. Then they, for what reason, yet again, mortgage a future first round pick in not this year, but in 2028 to get JJ Selden, solid player, but like, come on, what are you doing there? And then they kind of reached for Gabby Hawkins, who I like. I think she's going to be a Swiss Army knife player, but like, if you have a chance to draft a Kiki Wise who's going to be a league, honestly, he's going to be really good, or Fodger Johnson's going to be really good at swing for a long time, you do that over like a Swiss Army knife player. I just remember the day of the draft, I kind of figured how the top 4. I wasn't sure about the order of 2, 3, 4. That I was confident that like, cause I found out Fudd was going 1, and I wasn't sure of the best fam and Olivia Miles order. I wasn't too sure who was going to go where, but I was confident that was going to be some order of the top 4, with Fudd going 1. And I was really excited because I really wanted Fodger Johnson. I really wanted Kiki Weiss. A trade drafted for Gabby Hawkins. It's like, okay, fine. So it's like kind of a question for draft pick choice, a bad trade. We trade on future of your own first round picks, because part of the Angel Reese trade, they got 2 first round picks. Here's the idea: instead of trading your own first round picks, trade one of Atlanta's first round picks. Less value, probably. Like, protect your own future. Don't throw it in. Don't try to just compete for it. But as it turns out, part of the problem is as the Stevens was if she was going to miss time. DJ Cameron didn't even come back to post All Star break, and Cody Vance who tore his ACL the year before, and wasn't going to return to June. So it's like you build this roster up so that they could hopefully get healthy and compete. And they also make this, and then they traded Ayla Atkins for Wakira Jackson straight up, which I really like. And I believe if Wakira Jackson was healthy this year, I think we're talking a different conversation maybe this year. Um, they'd be like a playoff, maybe a playoff contention team. Like I think for her, she would have been an All Star player. I think they would be in the playoff conversation way. So I think that was a big loss for them. Um, and they signed a bunch of players to training camp, and they ended up signing this player by the name of Sydney Taylor, who was awesome by the way. That is a really good find. Just having a little hard time with this minute restricted things. They should like for the record, they need to plan this out the second half of the season. Oh, not even the second half, like the games before the break until she gets all the men restricted. They need to like map it out better because he can't just like for her like start the half and then end the half. That's like a 10-minute break. Like maybe she needs to come off the bench, and start the game or something like that. Like you need to like mix up a little bit because it's a call when you're resting. You need to like inside play. So just want to say that real quick. But they started the year 3-1. Jackson gets hurt in their fourth game versus Minnesota. Then they lose like 11 straight, and they having a hard time back and forth, whatever nonsense. Then Sky Diggins complains about like, oh, I'm gonna be benched, which for the record, I don't think she should have been benched because I don't think she was the problem and why they were losing games. I think they had other issues, so I didn't understand that logic personally. But we haven't seen her since for the record. I don't. If I would have to guess, I would guess based on the Chicago Sky track record, they traded Elena Dowdon, they traded Sylvia Fowles, Maria maybe Khalil Capo. I think they're going to eventually. I don't think Sky Dick. I'd be shocked if Sky Dickens plays another game this year for the Sky, and I'd be shocked we see her again because I think she's going to get traded all season. I would be stunned, shocked, disbelief that happens, unless they fire the GM and coach, which I'll begin to momentarily, and then maybe she get returned and suit up, but that causes more drama. And then post All Star break, playing a lot better. DJ Carrington came back, and all that stuff. Playing about five in the ball, and as we're calling this, they were getting destroyed by Connecticut. So I'm assuming they lost because they basically didn't show up in a game where Brittany Griner didn't play, Layla Khan didn't play. Olivia Nelson-Dora, I heard was watching the game, heard was she play, and I'm listening to the game. Like that's embarrassing. Like what are you doing, this guy? So, and guess what? They don't have the first round pick this year. I I don't know where they are right now, like percentage wise, but it's close between. At a lot of us today it'd be like the second to third best odds. Like it's really close between them and Toronto. So it's like that's not good. So, and you know your first round pick next year too, because you traded that for Jason Selden when it turns out you didn't need to because you signed a better player named Sydney Taylor who's really good. But then it's like why did you not sign Jason Selden in the first place? So, what are you gonna do? That's the question. And I'll. I'm not ready to show. Um, I will post a season review video for all the 15 teams in the league and top of those seasons and all that stuff, and kind of give you a broad overview of the free agency and stuff like that, and moves we need to make, and like stuff I think I would be looking at and looking to do. But in this video though, I don't know. Like I think here's what I'm confident saying. With Q Jackson, Sydney Taylor are my two building blocks for sure. Oh, and by the way, they also like they waived Haley Van Lith, who they drafted in the first round, and it's just like a lot of bad messes. But so with Hugh Jackson, Sydney Taylor, you two building blocks for sure. How on the guy be Hawkesses next season? You gotta get plenty of time to see what you do. I like a cool ballet a lot. I think Chase is an opportunity for a spot. And when I look at the rest of the roster, like in many ways, it gives me shades of the 2017 team. This is before James Wade came up in 18. But like some young talent, some veterans, but different styles who kind of play together a little bit. They just kind of need the coach to do it, to engineer it and do it. And the problem kind of is this team has played together for the first time, so I'm not really too sure what if I was in charge what I would do. I'm confident in this. Jeff Papia needs to get fired. Um, Recapping on those moves, train future your future for your present. For what? You haven't made one playoff appearance in 3 years. He needs to be fired. He needs to go. And I think Ty March has good concepts as a coach. I think he's a nice guy. Like I in general like him. But as an individual. But I just kind of get a sense he's kind of soft. And watching games this season, there's just games like we just why they've been so many close games. Or even for like today, it's just like there's just moments in games where like they allow like a 12-0-1 or 12-2-1 or like it's the up it's all fast, but then they allow a big one. It's like it's just little stuff like that. It's like how you adjust, and that's why in so many close games and stuff like that. And I just feel like he needs to move on. I am not. Maybe it's a philosophy. Like I want my coach. If I'm a fan of a coach, I want that coach to be kind of like a hard ass to be honest players and stuff like that. And I think Tyler's too nice of a guy for that. So I hope and think they should move on for both. I don't know. I'd be shocked, but like happy if that happens. But yeah, and then it's like, what do you do from a watch construction standpoint? I don't really know. Like, this Connect loss has put a bad taste in my mouth, so I don't want to overreact. So, looking, I have a few more weeks to really think about it and come away with a plan. But that is the state of Chicago Sky of a team that has not much of a future to look forward to, and it's going to take some time to build things up. And that's just my thoughts on the state of Chicago Sky.